last year. Vikas Khemani from Carnelian Asset Management and Advisors is with us on the show now. Vikas, what would be your top 3 themes, bets for 2024? How do you expect it to play out?
I think the India story in that sense does not change much. It continues to remain. It's more of same what we've spoken in the past. Usual. I think manufacturing continues to remain a very big theme for next several years, and I think 2024 will be an exception. Of course, within that, you will always find sub themes and sub segments. So I do feel that the chemicals would be a very big dark horse in this year. I think 23 was a tepid year for that. 24 could be a good year. Pharmaceutical could be a very interesting sector from 24 perspective. It has just come out of the woods, and I think it has a long run to go for. Banking and financial services, I do believe again has a multi-year cycle, and it continues to do well. It will continue to do well. Within that, I think PSU space can probably outperform the private space because there's a huge undervaluation gap there, and there's a big transformation happening in that basket. So there are a lot of interesting opportunities out there. So I think these are some of the usual regular themes which we think will play out. I mean, we've been on bullish on each of them, in our previous conversations as well. So 24, I think will continue to remain the same. And same thing I also believe for IT sector. We've seen some bit of a run in the recent past, but I think 24 would be a big year for IT as well. So these are some of the 3-4 themes I think will outperform market. But in general, I think markets will do well.
Okay, Vikas, hi. Good morning and wish you a very, very happy new year. Great to be talking to you as this year kicks off. What you said is very interesting. You were talking about banks, and you expect the PSU space to actually continue to outperform private sector. Just throw in some more light on this and why you feel so, because I think the PSU index, the PSU banking index had a great run. These stocks did well, 30%, whereas the private sector banks are the ones that have lagged. Some people in the market are expecting this to reverse. I mean, the whole debate around whether this is going to be the year of big private banks. But you seem to be still quite hopeful on the PSUs. So give us the rationale behind it.
Sure. So if you see PSU banks, historically had 3 big issues, the asset quality, governance, and technology. And because of that, they always had a loss of market share and they were trading at a discount. If you look at it in the last 3-4 years, each of these issues have been addressed. Your asset quality is very well provided for. In fact, there's a lot more reserves left there as the right backs are coming. Governance, if you see, we must give credit to the government, and in the last couple of years, they've got exceptionally good CEOs for each of these banks, which are leading big transformation journey in this, organizations, post the merger of all the PSU banks. And thirdly, most importantly, technology, which earlier PSU banks used to struggle with, because 10-15 years ago, it was to be developed. But now you have, plug and play kind of technology solutions available. So most banks have spent significant amount of money in last 3-4 years on, to build the capability on the technology side. So today, the differentiation between a private sector bank and public sector bank is not a lot. And hence, they are able to kind of continue to retain their market share. So if you see all of this, and most PSU banks are, will have between 16 to 20% kind of ROE and are trading at one time book or in and around one time book. So I don't see a reason for such a large gap between these two. And all these banks have a very large, credible franchise, large customer base. And if you have the leadership part right, I think it can lead to a bit of a re-rating. So I am betting for growth plus re-rating in the whole basket.
Vikas, from our earlier conversations, I remember you being bullish on PSU banks, ER&D in the IT pack, even Pharma, you had told us, looks fairly attractive. But this chemicals, this bullishness in chemicals or chemicals emerging as a dark horse for 2024, is that a recent view that's developed for you? Or have you been carrying on, holding chemical stocks in your portfolio for a while now?
We've been building chemical stocks in our portfolio for the last 3-4 months specifically, because we saw a lot of sort of interesting plays coming about. 22 was a very bad year. 23 early part was very bad year for the entire chemical basket, for the simple reason there was a lot of inventory pile up happened with the customer, and because of the commodity price corrections, a lot of A lot of, inventory losses also were there. So both got cleared over, in the early part of the 23. And, so we were seeing a bottom of kind of situation in most of the chemical stocks. And we believe that 24, 25 could be pretty interesting. And most of these chemical stocks were also going through a huge capex cycle. And all those capex cycle will start kind of, in some sense, start getting sort of coming production somewhere in 24, 25. So to that extent, you will have growth coming there as well. So combination of these and stocks had corrected significantly. Many of the stocks were half of their peaks. So I think, we found reasonably good risk reward, and we continue to believe that the theme of China plus one in chemical is a decadal, it is not a short term. So this is the opportunity we found where in a decadal theme, there was temporary correction, and hence we found it a very brilliant opportunity to kind of build our positions in that.
Do you want to tell us some stocks in this basket which you find attractive?
I mean, some of our portfolio holdings would be Laurus Laboratories, Deepak Nitrite, Orchid Pharma, I mean, which is a chemical company in the sense, API chemical. We bought RT Industries, significant, exposure, somewhere last year. Some of these names are portfolio holding, which I'm sure you know as public disclosures.
Vikas, leave us with your outlook on the primary market as well. There's been very hectic primary market action, right? And so many companies, it's almost breathless, a listing a day sort of a scenario last few months. If you could, share some names where you found the businesses attractive, the sectors attractive, and what would your, in general, what would your sense be on the primary market action as we look at this year?
Primary market is a direct function of how secondary markets are. And as once secondary markets start doing, primary market activity always picks up. We've seen this in the past as well. Of course, I don't think it's a euphoric stage, but whenever a average quality company starts getting good response, that's a time to worry. So we've started seeing early signs of that, but not really a very big sign of that. So a lot of companies have gone, and many of them are good company. We look at name specific. We don't look at in general any specific thing. But we are seeing now some new company with loss making called New Age kind of getting filed as a new eye. So I think we have to be very careful on those kind of names. This is a part of the any bull market and cycle, and we will see some euphoria getting built further in this course of 24. And I would say time is to be careful. We are likely to get into that cycle, and so we don't look at generally unless we're very convinced about the management and the business model from a longer term perspective. IPO is just one more opportunity to get access to another new company, new segment. We like it, but we evaluate. So I would comment on specific names, but generally speaking, I would say one needs to be very careful. And especially, I'm seeing a lot of euphoria in SME space, which I'm sure investors feel that, but I think that is far, far from a very, very risky. I mean, we've seen this cycle before many times, and how investors have lost significant amount of money. So that's the one segment where I'm seeing massive euphoria, and one has to be careful. On the main board, I think some are good, some are average, so we always play there on the names and companies.
Vikas, thank you for joining in, and all the very best for 2024. Great chatting with you. Get into a break.
Wish you all. Wish you, your team and viewers happy new year.
Right back at you. Thank you. Ashish Shankar, MD and CEO of Motilal Oswal Private Wealth, will be joining us on the other side of the short break on their 2024 outlook.